So in today's lecture, we will learn about classroom management, right? It is the foundation for learning, right? So because normally now we are learning via online, right? So even you can think this as a classroom, right? But it's a virtual classroom. Certain things may not apply with real or physical classroom or on-site classroom. So usually when we talk about teaching, we are meaning face-to-face teaching, right? That's a very common practice, not only in Sri Lanka, all part of the world. But unfortunately, due to this COVID situation, everything has been changed, right? So we are forced to study online. So it's a different aspect. And of course, later we can discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of online learning like this, right? But anyway, in this session, classroom management, generally when we mean classroom management, we mean the physical classes, right? So actual face-to-face classes. So it is the place where teaching happens, classroom management. So as a teacher, managing classroom is very, very important, right? As a teacher, managing the classroom is very, very important. If you don't manage the classroom, what will happen? Learning will not happen. Learning will not happen, right? So before that, let me give a very simple idea about management. So can anyone give an answer what we mean by management? What we mean by management? Feel free to answer, right? Let's continue the class in an interactive way, right? Whatever you feel, you can tell, right? Sometime there can be people who studied management or in commerce stream in A level, so they can have some idea. And or otherwise, sometime in your first year also, you might have any accounting related subject. So what we mean by management? When we talk about management, there are four aspects, right? One is planning. Planning. Then what else? Leading, right? And then organizing, and what? Controlling, right? Controlling. These are the right. So these are generally mean by management, right? So for example, if you are a manager, you will plan, okay, based on your expected outcome, you will have some plan, right? You will have some plan. And then as a manager, you will do the organizing. You will organize everything, maybe resources, finance, human, and everything. And then as a manager, you will lead the team. And if there is anything going in a incorrect way or in a undesired way, you will put the control and bring things back to organizing. So likewise, classroom management is also same, right? Classroom management is also has the similar characteristics. So because as teachers, why we have to manage the classroom? So I told you in the last class, when we learn this subject, please think yourself, don't think you as a student, right? Please don't think yourself as a student, think yourself as a teacher. Think yourself as a teacher, right? Now answer me, why we have to manage the classroom? why we have to manage the classroom? So what is a classroom management? So classroom management is ways of organizing the resources, pupils or students, and helpers so that the teaching and the learning can process in an efficient and safe manner, right? So first of all, as I told you, under the planning stage, under the planning, as a teacher, we have to have a very clear idea or very clear goals. At the end of the session, what are the things the students should have learned, right? Otherwise, there is no point of teaching, right? So first of all, if you are going to teach a subject, you should make a plan. Okay, at the end of the subject, what are the skills or knowledge that you have to give to your students, right? So for that, you have to organize the resources. For example, if you want to issue notes, you have to organize that. If you want to teach, if you need projector to teach something, you have to make the arrangement for that. Or now you are going to teach a subject which involves some practical, so you need a laboratory or computer, so you have to make arrangement for that, and so on. So those are the things we are telling, organizing the resources. So we have to make the arrangements for resources, right? And students also, we have to organize the students. How to organize the students? It means we should prepare the students in a manner that they are ready to learn. They should be in a learning behavior or learning mentality, right? So if they are not in that attitude, then it's difficult to teach them. And also, if there are any other supporting requirements, if there are any other supporting requirements, then only teaching and learning can process in an efficient and safe manner, right? So this is about classroom management, right? So this is a subject today we are going to discuss about, right? So as you are now, actually you are students now, but remember, when you learn this subject, you can assume yourself as a teacher also, right? So principles in classroom management. So what are the principles or what are the aspects we have to consider when we talk about or when we consider about classroom management? Right. So the first one is the discipline, right? Classroom discipline is very, very important. So if the classroom is well disciplined, it will encourage or it will make the teaching and learning very interesting. So discipline in the sense consistent, it should be very consistent, right? So what I am trying to tell you is consistent means continuous, right? Continuous every day. For example, if you are doing the lecture every day in every class, at least at the early stages. So now let's say you have 10 classes for one batch, class 1, 2, 3, 10 classes. So at least in the first few classes, you have to ensure certain things are in place in the classroom. So it should be consistent. Every day you remember, right? Every day you remind this, right? Let's say, for example, in a school, if it is a school, right, you can, as a teacher, you can check whether students are in the formal dress code, are they in a clean manner, are they are their tables are arranged neatly, and so on. Every day, if you insist for couple of classes, what will happen? Then the next classes, students will automatically be ready with the with those things. Likewise, starting the class. Starting the class. If you start the class exactly at 1 o'clock every day, then students will naturally come and join at 1 p.m. The class is 1 o'clock, you are joining at 1:15, then what will happen? Students will not join on time, right? So consistent is very important, consistency. So again, I am telling, think yourself as a teacher, right? So first you have to make a very good impression. Very good impression. If you have to think what kind of impression I want to make among my students. For example, my my teacher is on time, or my sir is on time. So it's one of the very good impression you can make among your students. Okay, then students will know, okay, this sir will come on time, so I should attend the class on time, like that, right? When sir is very strict on clean, for example, then the students will keep the classroom in a clean manner, right? And so on, right? So this has to be in a consistent manner until you create that attitude among your students, right? Until you create that attitude among your students, then students will be prepared for that. So then the rest of the classes will be very easy, right? So that's what there is a saying, at the beginning you should be very strict, later you can be flexible, but at the beginning stage you should be very strict, just to create that expected discipline, right? Just to create that expected discipline. And also proactive. Proactive. Proactive means it's not about reacting after something happened, not reacting. It's not. Proacting means before something happened. Before something happened. For example, now class is at 1 p.m., right? But actually you are unable to start the class at 1 p.m. So you can only start the class at 1:15 p.m. Now you didn't inform anything to the students. You didn't inform anything. You are not starting the class. Students are inside the classroom at 1 o'clock. What will happen? 15 minutes you are not going to be in the classroom. So students are in the classroom. What will happen? They will wait for 5 or 10 minutes. Then they will start playing, and sometimes they may create some troubles in the classroom. So as a proactive manner, what you can do, you can at least inform the students, okay, today we will start at 1:15, so you come to the class at 1:15. Then students know, okay, it will also give a very good impression about you to the students, right? Because my sir values my time, right? So as a teacher, you can't waste your students' time. So now I'm taking our 1 p.m. example, right? So 1 p.m. is informed. So if I want to start 1:30, I can't just start 1:30, right? Because I have to respect the students who has already joined at 1 p.m., right? So it's one of the discipline as teachers we have to have, right? So we should always respect the student. We should value the students' time, right? So 1 o'clock, start at 1 o'clock. In case if you can't start at 1 on time, try to inform the students. Then they know, okay. Then students will also know that in case if there are no classes, sir will inform, right? So students know about your characteristics, about the teacher's characteristic, then teachers will, so students will behave according to that, then it will be very easy for you to conduct the classes, right? So this is the actually the summary of classroom management, right? Consistent, proactive discipline is crucial for effective classroom management. So it has to be consistent and also proactive, right? After something happen, taking action is meaningless, right? So you should know the behaviors of students. Okay, this is how students will behave. So as a teacher, how I should behave with my students, it you should know as a teacher, right? So that way you can prevent any undesired behaviors from students, right? And second thing, establish routines for all daily tasks and needs. Establish routines. Routines means repetitive, right? Repetitive tasks. Establish routines for all daily tasks and needs. For example, every day we have to mark the attendance. Mark the attendance. And we have to keep the classroom clean. We have to revise what we studied in the previous class, and so on. Then create a routine. Create routine means, that we route bus. The route bus, for example, it will go from a place to another place. Regularly, it will keep on running. If the bus permitted route is A to B, then that bus will only run from A to B and B to A. So that way, it's a routine. So likewise, you create a routine about your class. You create a routine about your class. For example, you can think, okay, you can plan your class. So if you are going to take a class from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., then you can think, what are the things we have to do in the classroom as a teacher? Can you tell one by one? So we have to make attendance, right? Then we have to summarize the previous class lecture. Summarize the previous lecture. We have to inquire about absentees. We have to inquire about absentees. If anyone was absent in the last class, we have to inquire about it. Teaching today's subject. Assignment, if there is assignment. Issuing, correction, explaining, and so on. Then summarizing at the end of the class. Then you can create a routine, right? You can create a routine, right? You can, okay, first you can plan. Okay, first, sometime attendance at the very exact 9 o'clock may be not suitable, because sometimes students may come at 9:05 or 10. And also, if you take attendance very late, that also not suitable, right? If you do so, sometimes students will start coming to lecture later, right? So you should know when to make attendance. So for example, okay, 9:15 is the ideal time for taking attendance. Okay, if I take a 3 hours lecture, okay, after 15 minutes, after starting the class, after 15 minutes, I will start taking the attendance. Okay, 9:15 to 9:20. Then summarize the previous class. Okay, okay, you can plan. Okay, 20 to 10, 15 minutes you will write. Then you will give another 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes for the students to clarify the doubt, right? Then you will take 2 hours or 1 hour and 45 minutes to teach that particular day's subject that you have planned to teach students. And then if there are any assignments or other tasks, you can clarify here, and then you can summarize today's class learning. So it's kind of a routine, right? So you can routinize this, right? You can routinize this. So it saves the effort, and also it will reinforce your style or your way of teaching or your way of teaching among students, right? Then students know, okay, this my teacher's routine is this. So students will also be adapt to that. So the teaching and learning experience will be very smooth, right? And also another good aspect, you can before starting you can take 5 minutes to maybe check the classroom whether everything is in place and so on, right? So that's how you can plan, right? Depending on the requirement. So if we are teaching small children, then we can consider those aspects as well, right? So, and another key aspect when you maintain the classroom, right, you have to consider is smooth transitions, right? Smooth transitions and continuity of momentum throughout the day. So what it means is, right, when you plan, so we will discuss lesson planning separately, right? So here, smooth transition means, when you create a PowerPoint presentation from one slide to another slide, you will create a transition, right? So it will give a very smooth effect. Or if you, when you watch a video from one image to another image or one frame to another frame, the transition will be very smooth so that users will not understand that these two are two different things, right? So the continuity will be there. Likewise, when you continue a lecture or when you continue teaching, the transition should be very smooth. The transition should be very smooth. So you have to plan for that, right? So you have to plan for that, right? So for example, if you want to teach today algorithm, then you should think, okay, from where should I start, right? What are the things I have to discuss and which where to stop and so on, right? So the transition should be very, very smooth. And when you talk about algorithm, you can't discuss something about that, right? So you have to talk what you have discussed in the previous classes, right? Future things you cannot discuss here because students don't have knowledge about that, right? So that kind of understanding we have to have as lecturers, right? Is it clear? Is it understandable what I am telling? Or you want me to repeat? Kindly let me know. Is it understandable? Right? The transition should be very smooth, right? So it means you have to continue the class in a smooth manner, right? In a smooth and efficient manner. Right. And also you have to strike a balance between variety and challenge, right? Variety and challenge. So if you are in the classroom, right? If you are conducting the classroom, so in this class, right? In our class, now we are learning 3 hours. We are online. A very challenging task, right? A very challenging task. To keep students active for 3 hours, even in physical class, is also not very effective. So now, unfortunately, as per your timetable, we have to continue for 3 hours. We are online, right? A very challenging task, right? But anyway, we are helpless. So with your interaction only, we can continue, right? If you remain silent, so I can ask some questions by calling your name, right? Otherwise, please try to answer. I am asking very simple questions. So you don't need to worry whether your answer is correct or wrong, right? Whatever you feel and understand, kindly express it, right? Right. So now we are talking about classroom management. Then you are the teacher. So teacher is the classroom manager. Teacher is the classroom manager. So you should be aware of all actions and activities in the classroom, right? So if you are standing in front of the whiteboard and you are not making any move between students, what will happen? You don't know what is happening behind the scene, right? Or at the back benches. So you have to keep on walking, right? You have to keep on walking, and you have to maintain eye contact, right? You have to maintain eye contact. Every student, right? Every student in the classroom, every student in the classroom should feel that teacher is looking at me. Every student should feel that, okay, sir is looking at me or teacher is looking at me. Then you have to maintain eye contact, right? So you are here, students are seated here. Then you have to maintain eye contact. You can walk here if there are space, right? This way you can maintain the eye contact with the students, right? Then everyone is aware, okay, sir is looking at me or sir will look at me. Then everyone will be attentive towards you. Sometimes students use mobile phone. Nowadays is one of the very distractive thing inside the classroom, because most of the students, for adult learners like you, almost everyone has the mobile phone, right? So under the desk they can operate the mobile phone. Then you have to, at the beginning also, in this disciplining, in the routine, you can, first of all, you can clearly tell them, right? First of all, you can clearly tell them, inside the classroom mobile phone cannot be used, right? And you can also give them or tell them, if there are urgent calls, you can leave out of the classroom and answer the call and come back. Then classroom will be very calm and will be conducive, right? Will be effective. Otherwise, if you keep telling this for few classes. Okay, you are reinforcing this behavior among students, right? Then students will not use mobile phone in the classroom, right? If you don't take this light, if you take this very lightly, you don't bother it, right? So one day you see one student is using mobile phone answering call, then you didn't mind it. Then next day also you one student answered, or one student was using phone inside the classroom, you didn't mind it. Then what will happen? It will become as a habit within the classroom if you don't take that into consideration. So you have to immediately tell students, okay, stop, don't use mobile phone inside the classroom. If you want to speak, you go out of the classroom, speak and come back. Then classroom will be very disciplined, right? Next day other people will also will not use that, right? In rare cases they will get your permission and they will move out of the classroom and they will come back and attend the classroom, right? So that kind of things you have to plan well in advance. That's what we talked here, right? Establish routines or this consistent proactive discipline. So these are some of the things, right? So most of the things we can learn from experience, right? So we can't implement everything in the one class, right? Through experience only we can implement all this, right? And also certain things will be different from class to classroom based on students behavior, right? Right. So this is also important, right? Resolve minor inattention and disruption before they become major disruptions, right? If there are any noise or any disturbance coming from one student, you have to immediately resolve that, right? You have to immediately resolve that. You have to sort that out. Otherwise, what will happen? Other students will also start making noise. Then the classroom will be out of your control, right? So students will be diverted, right? So if there are small noise or small issues, then be attentive to that and try to sort out that. Try to sort out that. Otherwise, what will happen? So it will become a major disruption, right? So ultimately, you won't be able to continue the class, right? And also it will give a very bad impression about you among students, right? Right. And also reinforce positive behavior. This is very, very important, right? Reinforcement. It's not only for classroom, it's reinforcement is a aspect of psychology, right? Psychology. Certain behaviors you can bring by reinforcement. Reinforcement means again and again you do something. For example, I ask a question, right? How to make students attend lecture on time? What is your idea? So now think yourself, you are the teacher. Now you want to make sure all the students in your classroom should come to the lecture on time. What will you do?
Sir,
Yes.
uh, first day give punishment for the student.
First day or you will punish?
Yes, sir. If
Okay,
so,
okay,
then
we will see. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you for your answer. Okay, one answer. Punish the student. Okay. Any answer? Feel free to tell. No issues.
Not allowed latecomers
Not allow
in your
latecomers.
class.
Right. What else? Another answer I received your chat. Mark attendance. Mark attendance on very early was the suggestion.
Sir, sir,
Yes.
give some positive advice to come early.
Right. Give some advice to come early. Right. Right. So, okay, I'm still getting some answers, right? So, can you think from students' perspective now, one by one? There's another suggestion, right? Keep the students stand up for those classes until the class finishes. Keep the student standing up. Now think that student is you. Now think that student is you. Will you accept this? Will you accept this? Yes or no? Now, if you think that latecomer is you, if you assume, if a teacher punishes you because you got late, what will you think about the teacher? Whether you will like the teacher or not? What kind of thoughts you will have about that particular subject? Will you like to get punished because you was late? No, right? So, okay, now if you think from teacher's perspective, if you don't allow the students to come, if they come late, then he was late for 10 minutes, okay, he was late for 10 minutes, but now 3 hours classroom. Now we didn't allow him to attend the class. Now he is absent for the 3 hours. Then the next class, we have to explain him again, right? It is we have to suffer because we have to individually explain the student, right? Otherwise he will not understand because subject will be continuous. So to next class we will start from where we stopped in today's class. Then if we don't allow that student, what will happen? So it's a difficult task, right? It's not like we tell one solution. So it's good that you answered, right? So so in my experience also it happened, right? When you teach, you can meet different kind of students, right? One student I met wrong.
Because continuously studying is sometimes difficult. Sometimes mid of the time is better to take a break like that.
Okay, good. And also, if you think from teacher's perspective, right? If you think from teacher's perspective, whatever the teacher is going to teach, the first maybe 15 to 30 minutes, he will summarize everything that what he is going to teach. Rest of the hour, he will explain those in detail, right? So if you miss this early 15 minutes, even if you come at 10:30, 9:30 or 9:45, to continue or to understand what is going on will be very difficult. So the best time I would advise, so as one of you suggested, maybe you come to the class, okay, Now you know what is going on in the class. Then you know, okay, you can understand this is the class is about. So, okay, you can even make a good decision. Okay, here in this time, sir is going to give a break. So I can go during this break, or at least this last 50 minutes. Normally they will not teach any big things, right? So you can leave little early by 10:45 or so on, right? So as a teacher, also as a student, don't miss the early hours of lectures. No matter at what time the lecture is, right? Even now, this class, you may have some work. Then instead of attending at 1:30 p.m., it is better leaving at 3:30 p.m. and doing your work, right? Right. So reinforcement is one of the psychological aspect. Psychological aspect in the sense, for example, you know, in our childhood, we have learned that, right? Elephant. When elephants are small, what we do in a we knot the elephant, right, with a chain. Then small elephant will try and pull it, but it cannot. It will keep on doing that for a couple of times, but it is unable to do that. Then even if it is grown big enough to pull and break this chain, it will not try. Why? From its childhood, it has thought that it cannot break the chain or remove the chain, right? So likewise, for some children, if we want to teach them some good habit, we have to again and again tell certain things. We have to again and again certain things. For example, in the morning, we want to teach them to brush their teeth. As soon as they get up, we want to teach them to brush up their teeth. Then reinforcement means, so at the beginning for 1 month or 2 months, maybe parents may help. Parents may ensure, okay, you go to washroom and keep your toothbrush and come back. Then if you continuously telling, then this is called reinforcement. Then the children will be used to that. Then after some time, you don't need to tell them. They will do that. They will do that. Good habit and also bad habit, same thing, right? Both has the same effect. Good and bad habit. So getting up early. Another example, getting up early. 1 month or 2 months, if you at any cost, with the help of others also, if you try to get up, then it will become your habit. Likewise, bad side, going to bed very late. If you keep on doing that for 1 or 2 months, it will become your habit. So if you go to bed late, then you will only be able to get up very late. So this reinforce positive behavior. You have to enforce positive behavior, not the negative one, right? So normally, if you are a teacher, you will take classes for 6 months or 1 year. It's a long enough time. So in the first few weeks, if you can bring some positive behaviors, then it will reinforce. So students will be in a way that you expect the students to be in your classroom, right? So reinforce positive behavior. One is be generous with genuine praise. Praise the students when they do good, right? Praise the students when they do good. Genuine praise, right? don't praise them when they don't do any good thing, right? But when they do good thing, be generous and praise them. So there is a common saying, right? If you want to good things, you can tell in public. If you want to tell good about a student, you tell in public. If you want to tell a bad thing, or let's say one student is coming late, then it's a bad thing, you want to inquire him why you came late, then it's better to ask in private. Ask in private, right? Bad thing, then you ask individually. Good things, you feel free to tell, okay, this person has done a very good job, then praise him in among the students, right? Then other students will also be motivated, right? But bad things, better to tell to the particular student only, right? It will give some good thoughts about you, right? Sir is respecting me, right? So like that, it will give some very good impression to students, right? So be generous, right? And also, for our praise to be genuine, it must be given according to the merit. So it is our way of appreciating and recognizing hard work and good behavior, right? So now I ask a question, right? I just want you to understand. I just want to understand about you, right? Teacher 1 and the teacher 2. Encouraging. This teacher is perfectionist. So there are two teachers, right? Teacher 1, he is kind of encouraging behavior. So whatever the student does, he will appreciate the student. Even if they do very small job, he will appreciate the student, right? And there's another teacher, he is a perfectionist. So he expects the students to do a perfect job. So which is better? Which behavior is better? Which behavior is better? Teacher 1 or teacher 2?
Which point of view, sir? Student point of view or teacher's point of view?
General perspective.
I think encouraging teachers.
Right. Okay. So it actually, so if you are a teacher, right? If you are a teacher, you should be both, right? Do you agree with this? If you are a teacher, you should be a encouraging teacher, at the same time should be a perfectionist. So now another question. If you think yourself as a teacher, what kind of teacher are you? Teacher 1 type or teacher 2 type? You will be encouraging your students even if they do small things. That kind of character are you, or you want the students to do a perfect job?
Both type of.
Both type. What about others?
Yes, sir. Both type.
So okay, right. So it is in my view, right? We should play this diverse role, right? We should be a perfectionist, and at the same time we should be encouraging, because yes, yes, okay, if anyone wants to ask, you can ask, right? So we should be encouraging, and also we should be a perfectionist, and we should try to maintain the balance, right? Because if you take a classroom, right, if you take a classroom, students will be in different level of knowledge. Students will be in different level of knowledge. Maybe sometime some classes students will be in the same level of knowledge, right? But for example, when you expect perfection from students who are at the below average level, ultimately students will do nothing. Students will not do anything at all, right? So to encourage those kind of students, right, to encourage those kind of students, you have to be encouraging. Okay, whatever, even he didn't do anything, but in this class he has done something, then appreciate him. Like that, slow by slow you can improve him, right? On the other hand, there will be some bright students, or students who put lot of effort and they do some very good job, right? Then you should guide them to do a perfect job, to make them more perfect, right? So as you told, we should have a balance between this, right? So like one of you suggested, based on the student we have to take the decision. We should not be always perfectionist, and also we shouldn't be always encouraging, right? Where which behavior is appropriate, we have to have that. We have to have that, right? When students make mistake, right, you can't accept them as correct, right? You have to tell, okay, this is a mistake, right? We have to correct this way, like that, right? Right. Right. Then treat minor disturbance calmly, right? Treat minor disturbance calmly. So in our class, in our MBA class, a professor used to have classes, right? One of my friends used to come to class maybe 10 or 15 minutes late. Right? And because our MBA classes were on weekends, Saturday and Sunday, right? Saturday and Sunday, right? So this person, he used to work in Colombo, right? So Saturday morning only he comes to here and he attends MBA class. Then our professor, she was a lady, what she used to do is she is always distracted if any students come late. If any students come late after she has started the lecture, if any students comes, she is really disturbed. So what do you think she will do? What do you think? What she would have done? So she's a professor. She starts class at 9 a.m. But one student, he used to come at 10:15 or 10:20. So what she would do to this student? Actually, she does nothing, right? She does nothing, but what she would do is she would drink a cup of water to calm her down, right? Because these are matured students, right? So we don't know why they are coming late, right? We don't know why they are coming late. In school also, right? In school also, sometimes you might know, right? You might be aware. In the discipline, there's a board of discipline in each school, right? Sometimes there are some students who used to go to their father's shop in the morning, right? Bringing any sorties or string hoppers made by their mother. Then after that only he comes to school. But some of the teachers, without understanding what they will do, they will punish the student without knowing these kind of things, right? So these are not a good thing for a teacher, right? First we should try to understand student, and also again we should make the balance, right? We should try to actually understand the situation. If you are very soft enough, then sometimes students, for fake reasons also, they will try to cheat us, right? So we should actually try to understand. So another practice what I do is, right? So what is some of the things are there students hate. Some of the things are there students always hate. So you can use that as for taking advantage. Taking advantage means to bring some positive changes students. So one example, in my understanding, right, when working with or teaching with students, one of the things students hate is talking teachers talking to parents. Students don't like it. Do you agree or not? Or if we ask students to bring parents, they won't do it. They will not bring it. If they ask the contact number of the parent, students will not give. Otherwise, some students, they will be absent for 2 or 3 days. Actually, they might have gone on a trip, but they will tell some other reason, right? Now you ask Now you ask them to bring a letter with the parent signature that this is the reason my son was not well, or the reason that he is telling, then he will not do that. So these are some of the mechanism that you can use to catch the students who is true and who is false, right? If the reason is valid, then students can bring the letter. No, if the student is telling a fake reason, he will not bring the letter, right? Or he will not like we contact the student's parent, right? So these are some of the ways you can use to bring some positive behaviors, right? So any experience from your side as a student out of what we discussed now? Or anything from you to add? Anything to add from your side? Okay, so if there are any minor disturbances, treat it calmly, right? Don't get tension. Don't scold the student, right? Treat with calmly. Seating arrangement. Classroom seating arrangement is also one important thing, right? So work out a physical arrangement of chairs that facilitates an interactive teaching and learning process. So this is the traditional. This is a traditional method, right? So this is a round table. Round table, everyone can see everyone. That's a round table, right? So this is traditional classroom. Here's the teacher. So here, if you want to discuss and if you want to face everyone, then you can be here. Then it's a round table, so everyone can see everyone. So you have to think, okay, for my class, which one is suitable? For a discussion, then this traditional round table is very good. The horseshoe or semicircle, right? It's like this. It's group, so group wise, right? Is a pair, two people as one team. Or this is double horseshoe, right? So here, this is very traditional, right? If there are long rows, what will happen? The middle students will get unnoticed, right? The middle students will get unnoticed. So you can't focus on these students, right? So sometimes they may create some troubles in the classroom. So seating arrangement also is very important, right? So based on your class, you can plan, okay, which is more suitable. Now let's discuss about classroom management techniques. What are the techniques we can use to manage classroom? What are the techniques we can use to manage classroom. First one is time management. First one is time management. What is one of the important aspect of management, right? Time management. Right? Right. So time management is very important in the classroom, right? So it is the essence of learning, right? So within the time we have to teach and we have to make sure everything is understood by the students, right? So how much students learn depends upon the amount of time they spend in learning, right? How much students learn depends upon the amount of time they spend in learning. So the impact of time, however, on achievement is influenced also by the quality of instruction and the learning task. Right. So this is very important, right? Here, no matter what amount of time is spent, no learning takes place if there is poor instruction and poorly devised learning task, right? So what this point means, now you want to give some task to student, right? Task 1. Now you give them 1 hour to do, 1 hour to do, but no clear instruction or poor task explanation. What will happen? Students will not do anything. Learning will not happen. They will just, after 1 hour only, they will tell, okay, sir, I didn't understand anything. So with time, clear instruction is very, very important, right? With time, clear instruction is very important, right? And also, it is observed that classes where students are occupied with learning activities where time is managed properly, learn more, right? What it means is, where students are occupied with learning activities, so students are doing some activities, and also time is managed properly, then students learn more. Students learn more. Right. Now come to this part, management of discipline. Management of discipline. How to manage discipline inside the classroom. How to manage the discipline inside the classroom. So discipline is a controlled behavior, right? It's a controlled behavior. What we mean by discipline, it's a controlled behavior. It means we can't behave as we wish in the classroom, even for a teacher or the students, right? So there are certain behaviors we have to have inside the classroom. So that's what we mean by discipline. So it's a controlled behavior. So for example, students cannot sleep inside the classroom, so they have to keep awake, right? So first we discussed about classroom management, right? Under that we talk about time management. Now we are talking about discipline. Discipline, this is very important, right? So if you can't manage the discipline of your students inside the classroom, then you can't teach, right? So it constitutes the next important concern of teachers as part of good management. If you are managing the classroom in a good manner, your class should be very disciplined, right? Your class should be very disciplined. No matter how well managed the learning environment is, students will occasionally behave. So even though you manage the class very effectively, students will occasionally misbehave. Students will occasionally misbehave. We know, right? So everything will be going smooth, but one person will just tease another person. Then some problem will start, right? So students will occasionally misbehave. So it is where teachers must be ready to deal with them with utmost care and consideration, right? With utmost care and consideration. So managing discipline inside the classroom is very important. Again, I told you, keep this in mind. Reinforcement. Certain things you can repeat continuously, then it will become a routine for the students, right? Then after some time it will not happen. So for example, students asking permission to go to have some water. 1 or 2 times you can allow. If it is continuous, what you can do, you can bring some mechanism. Okay, this is the time. Okay, 1:15. Okay, sorry, is 2:30 to 2:40. You can have some break like that, right? So now let's see what are the causes. What are the causes? Why that kind of disciplinary issues arise, right? Some causes of disciplinary problems. One is, of course, unfavorable learning conditions. If the classroom is not conducive or not students friendly enough, then of course this kind of things will come up, right? So unfavorable learning conditions, overcrowded. Class is overcrowded, right? So there are usually, for how many people we can teach? Maximum 30 to 40 people we can teach. If there are 200 students, what will happen? Or there's a small classroom, we can comfortably accommodate only 20 students, but we have accommodated 40 students. What will happen? It's very inconvenient to the students, so they will start making some problems, right? They can't focus on learning, right? So then they will start making some problems, right? So it's one reason. Another reason may be with poor lighting and learning facilities, right? With poor lighting and other related facility, there is no fan or students are sweating and so on. So again, it will contribute to unfavorable learning conditions, so students will start making some trouble. And improperly ordered classroom is full of dust, furniture, storage cabinets are unordered or disordered. So in that case, it's not learning friendly, then students will start making some problems, right? And also noise, these are some of the disturbances. So these are some of the unfavorable situations or conditions for learning. If these unfavorable conditions are present in our classroom, what will happen? As a result, student will start make some problems or troubles, right? It's one reason. So we have to remove that. We have to make sure students are seated comfortably. There's enough lighting and ventilation. Inside the classroom, everything is ordered properly, right? There is no sound. The students can listen to teachers very clearly. Then the learning condition is favorable. If learning condition is favorable, students will be not making problems, right? And another reason, maybe due to teachers' poor management skill. Poor management skill. So the teachers' lack of adequate knowledge and skills in handling occurrences of misbehavior likewise contribute to a trouble-prone setting. So here, another reason, if the teacher is poor in managing the students, or the teacher is not experienced in managing students, then it will also create some problem. Otherwise, if the teacher is doing something else inside the classroom, for example, let's say teacher is checking his or her mobile phone often, what will happen? Now we are the teacher, we are in the classroom, now we are checking our mobile phone frequently. What will happen? Students will also do the same, right? So first, at the beginning I told, right, we have to tell the students, if you want to speak, go out and speak. Then even if we get the call, we have to do the same thing inside the classroom. Then only student will listen to us. And another, this is the most common reason why there are problems inside the classroom. So students are varied. Students are having varied background. So students are coming from different backgrounds, right? The students bring to the classroom a surprising record of individual attitudes, interests and abilities. So each one of students are individuals. They will have different attitudes. Maybe some of them will be good, some of them will be bad, right? So we have to manage them. So based on these aspects, we can try to understand the attitude of students. One is family background, right? His family background will have some influence, right? Excuse me. So his family background will have some influence on his behavior and attitude, right? And his physical and mental capacity, right? Physical and mental capacity and emotional traits, among others. Emotionally, what he feels will have an influence on his behavior, right? So based on these are some of the reasons why students make some issues. So how we can address, then and there, if any issues arise, we should try to address that and we should try to sort out that. If you allow them to happen repeatedly, then it will become a habit of the classroom. So we should, if anything happens, immediately we have to resolve that, right? And sort out that, right? So a small question, how to manage talkative student in the classroom. How can we manage? There are two friends, they are seated next to each other and always talking. How can you manage?
We can change their places.
Okay, you can change the place. What else? Can ask question. Ask to repeat what you thought. Ask to repeat, right? So these are some of the ways you can manage the students, right? Right. So now let's talk about how to deal with discipline problems. How to deal with discipline problems. There are some ways they are acceptable and effective based on research and past experience, right? So when the students are having disciplinary problems or expressing some behavioral issues, how we can address that? So we can look at it in two different views, right? One is acceptable and effective way. So what are the acceptable ways of dealing them, and they are effective too. And again, there are some unacceptable ways and they are ineffective, right? So we'll see one by one. So these 7 are acceptable and effective ways dealing with discipline problems. Acceptable and effective ways of dealing with discipline problem. This is number 1. Use verbal reinforcers that encourage good behavior and discourage bad tendencies. Verbal reinforcers. Verbally speak to the classroom. Let's say some students are talking, then you can tell, okay, next question I'm going to ask to you, like that, right? So use verbal reinforcers that encourage good behavior and discourage bad tendencies. That's number 1. Use a non-verbal gestures. Use a non-verbal gestures. Gestures means using your hand, right? Using your hand, you can show, right? You can show, you can ask them to stand up, or you can show them, you can ask them not to speak, and so on, right? You can give a warning or whatever, right? So you can use non-verbal gestures. And also dialogues can help in discovering problems and agreeing on mutually beneficial solutions. You can talk to the students. You can ask them, why are you talking like that, right? And also number 4, who focus attention on one who is unruly and is about to disturb the neighbors. Focus attention on the person, then he will remain silent. Or ask him to come and sit in the front row. Award merits for good behavior and demerits for inconsistencies and lapses. So for the good behavior, award them, right? And also a private one-on-one brief conference can lead to a better understanding of mistakes that need to be reminded or improved. Like one of you suggested, we can talk to the student in person. So after the class, we can talk to the student, or before the class, we can talk to the student. Then if you talk to student in person, then after that, he will be one of the good students, right? And also give students the opportunity to express. So you have to give them the opportunity to express, right? So whatever they feel, let them express. Then that way also you can manage the discipline problems, right? Right. Then these are some of the ineffective or unacceptable ways. Scolding with harsh words, right? It will not work. You will humiliate the student, right? It will not give a very positive response. Sometime after that, students may not attend to the class, right? So scolding and harsh words will not work, right? For that situation, temporarily it will sort out, but in the long run, it will not work. And giving additional work because the student created some problem, so you are giving additional work to him. Don't do that. This is also, don't do that, right? And also, right, and you don't keep that behavior in mind when giving marks for the students' work. You should never do that, right? Students' behavior is wrong, that's something different. You have to deal with that. For that, you should never punish the student indirectly, right? So reducing his marks and so on, that's not, we should not do that, right? You have to mark him for what he has done, right? So these are some of the undesired way. We shouldn't do that, right? So students has any behavioral issues or he is problematic, then do something to sort out that. So don't scold or harsh words or affecting his academic achievement or assigning some additional work. These are not appropriate to do. That's all for today, right? So that's all for today.